A foggy day with frolic with the Fins, and there was plenty of aqua to go around.
Does this Commanders team have a chance against the Dolphins today?
Of course we do. Of course we do. We're going to come out with the win today.
Does this Commanders team have a chance today against the Dolphins?
Why not? Why not? We already mad. We angry. We got a whole lot to take care of today.
You might want to say that like
they're going to
winning
go
lottery.
home upset.
Is it going to be ugly?
It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a lot of scoring deep balls. A lot of speed. You know it.
Another home game in name only, with the visitors well represented in the stands and well in control on the field. A Dolphins domination, and yes, another disappointment for the DMV.
The winning buses.
Miami left town with the win, while Washington wonders again what went wrong, what to make of it, and what's next.
Make sure you got to understand we got a quarter of the season left to play. Expect everybody to show up and play.
On this Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus.
The man
call somebody,
is back,
call
y'all.
somebody.
We're
He's
back.
back. Call
He's
your
back.
mama, call your
We're
daddy.
back and we're back.
We're
back. Tony
He's
McGee,
back, y'all.
We're back.
Tony
McGee.
Come on. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee, Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee. What's up?
Look like I come here every week on Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus saying next week is the week. Well, now the only thing that can happen this week, if we can put in a call to the NCAA and see maybe if the Commanders can be the sixth team in the playoffs, because they play like a college team. We got to keep it real. Nobody did good. So what did we do? We go in and bring another coach in, Eddie Mason. A lot of you remember him, number 53. He used to block some heads and knock them off. We brought him in. He's going to talk about the defense. Donna Hopkins, let's see if we can get the truth about this offense out of it.
It's always true.
You got to talk about the league, man. But big fella, bring my boy back on the show, Solomon McGee. He going to talk stuff till he told me so. Let's get it going, y'all. It's nothing to put aside. These guys did the worst job I've seen them do in the last 2 years. I was very disappointed. And that goes for offense, defense, and special teams. Start with the offense. Everyone talk about how this quarterback is learning and he's doing so well. He's thrown 3 pick sixes in the last 3 games. That's 18 points. You know, you can't have that. And then you have receivers. Your number one receiver, how does your number one receiver get shut out? Somebody tell me that. Solomon said something to me the other day. He'll mention it. But let's go to you right away, Donna. You and Solomon was over there. Tell me what you felt. Now, one thing I'm also hearing is still more fans from them in the stands than we have.
Tony, I thought I was in Miami at that game because it was so much aqua in that stand. But you talked about how did Terry McLaurin get shut out? Well, Jamin Ramsey is one reason, Tony, because he was like toilet paper on his shoe. He could not shake him. And also, again, you talked about a Sam Howell as far as the picks that he's thrown the last 3 weeks. And by far, it was one of his tough games again. I mean, I think that he went backwards a little bit in that game. And this offense overall, Tony, is just struggling. This offensive line is a debacle right now because how in the world can you not hold your blocks? Because I saw a lot of that on Sunday where players could not hold their blocks. And you were going up against one of the better defensive in the Miami Dolphins, but still, this offensive line is getting pushed around week in and week out. Sam struggles. You got a Brian Robinson that, you know, was nicked up, left the game with that hamstring injuries. But overall, you know, this defense I want to jump so much on the defense because they're horrible. But, you know, staying on the offense, this team overall, Tony, across the board is just not playing well. You know, they're ugly ball. I mean, they're being outcoached, outplayed, and these players and the coaches keep saying that, you know, we're almost there. No, you are far away from being there.
Wait a minute. What What you been drinking? I mean, you know, Miami is not that good of a defense. They are offensive team.
No, Tony, they're one of the top defensive teams in the NFL. Look it up, Tony.
In the AFC, not where we play ball in the NFC.
They
we
got
play ball over here.
Corner.
All that little stuff you talk about, we play ball in the NFC.
All I want to know, Tony, what was the final score? In the NFC, the Commanders are an NFC team right now, and where are they at? Dragging the bottom.
Let's take away the offensive mistakes, Solomon, right? And it wouldn't be that bad. You tell me, what do you think the progress of this quarterback is?
Well, I mean, we started out well just because Robinson was actually involved. So we actually was running the ball to set up for the pass. But when you run the ball, but the pass isn't there, that's the problem. And I just feel like we can actually be honest. I mean, if we all are honest with it, how is a second-year quarterback and he plays like one? He hasn't really, done dynamic things. None of the games, even the 4 games we won, it was just basically a balanced game where he was just doing the checkoffs and stuff, where the last 2 games being able to only put up 25 points a game, I mean, that speaks alone for his quarterback rating and what's going on with the offense. But I just felt like Robinson and Gibson was running the ball pretty hard to start it out. But when you have an offensive line like we have right now, where last week it was Leno giving up sacks, this week it was an Eastern Michigan alumni, which hurts my heart. Wow, giving up 3 sacks and being an Eastern Michigan guy, it kind of hurt.
Well, I tell you what, we haven't introduced him, ladies and gentlemen. We go back and bring, as I said, one of the greatest linebackers ever playing. He's still coaching people, doing it right.
That's right.
Eddie, tell me, what did you see? Now, I'm going to make you go on the offensive side of the ball. They've said our offensive line didn't do well. We're looking at the quarterback. Yeah, he scored 18 points for the other team in the last 3 weeks. But one thing that I heard yesterday, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but they said they saw people walking and not chasing, not going through it the whole play, not having enough people around the ball. Eddie, what did you see?
Well, I would, Tony, first and foremost, thank you for having me on the show, Donna, everyone on the show.
Oh wait, why you won't get on with Donna? She ain't telling the whole thing. We talking about Miami defense is good. Come on, man.
I had to track down a solid person, Tony, to come in here and help you.
Hey, so in all fairness, we all know football starts in the trenches. Everything starts in the trenches. He who controls the line of scrimmage controls the game. That's how it's always been since the beginning of this game to now, to present. The way this game has evolved in such a RPO-based offensive scheme. But the reality is that this defense started out as being supposedly going to be one of the top-tier defenses in the league. Top 10. Last year, I think they were top 5. And here's the reality is we traded away 2 of our bookends. Everybody has their own opinion on that. But the reality is that a scheme is a scheme. Players are players. And at the end of the day, you paid a lot of money to do a job. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, we're not getting off blocks. Number 1, we're not hustling to the football that you alluded to, Tony. And number 3, it's one of those things where I just feel like from a talent perspective and a schematics perspective, we're just not getting it done. At the end of the day, you got 11 on 11. There's 11 guys lining up on offense and defense, and our defense got to put a hat on a hat, and they have to play more inspired, passionate football, which makes me go back to coaching. You know, what's being said in that locker room? What type of attitude are we setting? What type of motivation are we giving out to these young men in order to get them to the place, to get them to play inspired football? So I think ultimately at the end of the day, when you think about the two defensive tackles that we have who are commanding double teams, you talk about our bookends and the fact that we do not blitz. One time I counted, I think we dropped almost 7 guys. You got 7 versus 4 at a worst case scenario. If 7 guys can't cover 4 receivers, that's a problem, especially in man covers. If you're playing 2-man, 2-shell, whatever you want to play, whatever they're running, at the end of the day, if you got 7 guys, they got 4, there should be nobody catching the ball, even if it's Tariq Hill. You got to double him. How do you single coverage him yesterday on that play? You know what I mean? And put a young player on him, number 1. Put a guy on him like that in man-to-man coverage, ISO game, with no safety help. How do you do that? You're not. That spoke everything to me.
Want to deal with the offense. He went right to the defense because he knows
But
that's
he's
a
telling
major
the
problem.
truth. The only thing that I disagree with his whole statement is he said, we all made a lot of money. Not my end, baby. You talk for you guys. We didn't make a lot of money. But looking at that, and Alex, you watched a lot of games and you saw what was happening. Did this team go as backwards as much as they did? Did I see the same game? Looked like they went all the way back to training camp almost.
Tony, this was the worst one for sure. I mean, listen, some of this you credit Miami. They're a heck of an offense. Donna claims they're a great defense. I guess I'll take her word for it. But we know about that offense. But they do seem, they being the Commanders, seem to be getting worse and worse and worse. Last two games, it was 45-15 and 45-10 against Dallas. That's 90-25. Some of those points for the opposition, Tony, you point out, those were giveaways. Those are on Sam Howell. It's not all on the defense, but most of it's on the defense. In the case of Howell, as your son was talking, it made me think, is, he is, 14 games into his career, okay? College seasons go 12 or 13 games. Maybe he's hit some sort of wall, okay? I'm not saying that he was flawless the first 10, 12 games, but he was better than what we've seen the last 3 games. So some of this could be that. Some of this could be coaching. Some of this could be execution. Some of this could be the talent in Burgundy is not matching up to the talent in aqua or silver and blue on Thanksgiving Day. All of this colludes to it's awful. It's awful to watch. Donna, you were there. I watched on TV. It seemed like 80% of the stands were aqua. Not 50-50. It felt on TV like watching it and hearing it that it was way worse than 50-50. Our buddy Leslie Shepard was on a couple weeks ago. And back in the day when he was playing, we'd get his reaction in the locker room after another loss, after another loss, after another loss. And he would say, it's rock bottom. And then next week we'd say, Leslie, where are we now, though? He'd say, man, this is rock bottom. Tony, this. Okay, this is rock bottom. I mean, they're awful. They're awful.
Rock bottom.
And you know why? We do the same thing on this show every week. All we do is we make excuses and we don't get results.
No, you make excuses, Tony.
We make excuses. The quarterback's young, the offensive line, they get paid every Monday.
Excuses.
They get
Tony,
paid
every Monday.
Tony, because Alex said something about Sam. Teams have figured him out. I mean, we're at the end of the season almost, and teams has figured him out. One play particularly that he threw the interception that they returned for a touchdown. Tony, they literally the defensive guy just literally stepped in the lane and he got the ball. Sam didn't even look, to see who was stepping in there. It was just a bad play on his part because he could have pump faced that one. But Tony, let's go to the locker room to hear what the players have to say about this game, because you know what? You could tell their heads is dragging right now.
Each one of us that's just taking turns, that's just not doing our job the best we possibly could be. And that's every one of us, not to pinpoint nobody. That's everybody.
Hey, Curtis, is it tough knowing, like you said, that you all got the talent, but coming out here trying to put the pieces together and it's just not falling in place?
Yeah. Like I said, it seemed like at this point we just talking about how much talent, but, not really displaying it as much as we want. But like I said, I feel like we got a lot of great pieces, and the great thing about it, a lot of our guys are young. So,
to me, honestly, I'll say it sounds like words now. We're not going to keep saying that. Back end of the season, it's too late for growth right now. I feel like, but like I said, we can finish off the season strong and, head into, next year with growth, but it's too late for that right now. I was just talking to somebody. This is one of the best teams out of my 4 years. I feel like we had, like as a group, and for us to have this kind of season, it sucks. So, hopefully we can put the pieces together and keep building and change it around.
It's not a very good defense. Can't stop the run, can't stop the pass. Again, I've been here for 7 years. There's only so much growth and development you can go through before you start demanding performance. So it is what it is.
Nah, I like that. That was the most truthful statement.
Correct.
And what he said. He's been there 7 years. You got to be able to do what you're supposed to do. You can't keep talking about potential. That's what happens in this NFL too much. They pay for potential. This team is going backwards. But at the same time, when we come back and talk about the defense, I want to say getting rid of those two guys, then you get rid of the coordinator, head coach take over, different coach, same game. So it may not have been the players. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Next.
Before we put this offense to bed, we're going to talk about the defense. But we have a little controversy here. We have a young lady talking about, the receivers can't get open. So what did we do? I know all of y'all felt that breeze come in the room that got cold. We knew that. So Gary Clark was coming in the house. G, I'm going to let Donna ask you this question, and you tell me what you saw on Sunday.
Hey, Gary, Tony is always talking about, forcing the ball to Terry McLaurin. You can't force the ball if he's not open, and then you got a quarterback that maybe can't get him the ball. On Sunday, he was going up against one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL, and Jalen Ramsey. And to me, he wasn't getting open or being able to shake him. What did you see as a wide receiver, too, in that game Sunday? And you better tell the truth.
Well, I'm always going to tell the truth. I
know you don't.
I'm always going to tell the truth. Don't get me wrong. Miami has a great corner. He's a great cornerback, but he's also an AFC cornerback, so it means he's just kind of okay. But at the end of the day, what does that
mean about an AFC cornerback?
You see how G came right to that? Tell it, G.
It's just kind of okay, It's just another. But honestly, you always got to give your guy a shot, no matter what. Like there's times where, for example, I'm playing against Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is a great cornerback. He has me covered, but I'm still open if you throw me the ball. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Is that you always got to take a shot to your guy.
That's right.
You just do. You have to take a shot to your guy no matter what and give them the benefit of the doubt, because at the end of the day, even if he's right there with me, he's right there with me. Who's going to come down with the ball? It kind of comes down to that. I mean, Rip used to throw me the ball all the times, and there would be a defensive back on me. But even if it's a jump ball, either it's going to be incomplete or I'm going to come down with it. That's the way we looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
You got to give Terry a shot. I mean, you got to give Terry a shot.
Did y'all hear Donna when she was on there talking about receivers? And then when Gary down there, well, you look at the particulars out here, and you look what he was doing.
I still say Tony, but you know what? Gary says that, but I'm still saying that. You look at these games and everything as for of the receivers fighting. You look at other teams and you look at how those receivers fight through to get the ball. We know that we're dealing with a quarterback in Sam Howell, so you've got to do a little bit more on your part to try to get the ball to help him. Are you seeing all of those things? Because I'm not seeing all of that.
Well, a few weeks ago, Sam was the number one quarterback a few weeks ago.
Thank you.
He's not a bad quarterback. Like what I do like about Sam is typically he does give his receivers a shot to catch the ball. I mean, that's why he has so many picks, quite honestly. He gives his receivers a shot to catch the ball. His receiver has to do a better job of knocking the ball down when, unfortunately, the defender's there too. But I want my quarterback giving me the benefit of the doubt. And that's what Sam does. So he's definitely a receiver's quarterback. As a receiver, I'd love Sam because he's going to give me a shot to make a play. And that's all you can ask for, honestly.
All right, we've heard it from the expert, Donna. Leave it alone. Let's go to the defense.
No, I'm gonna leave it alone for now, Tony. But I'm not Tony.
You got coach in front of your name. That's why I wanted to know that. You got coach. So why do you put a guy on the best receiver maybe in the league, and he can't cover the bed with a blanket?
Well, Tony, you make a tremendous point. As I was alluding to earlier, and I'm gonna say it again. Everything from a defensive perspective, it all starts up front. You got to get pass rush, number one, which we're not getting. We're getting double down on the inside. Number two, we lost our two bookends. We get no pressure, and we don't blitz, which that does put a tremendous amount of pressure on the back end. But however, when you're dropping 7 guys and they have 4 receivers out in routes, that means we got seven versus 4. While we run a man on man, literally a zero coverage in that situation, even if you got a one safety, a single high safety in that situation, it's like you cannot execute like that, especially with a guy like Tariq Hill. It's just not gonna happen. It'd be like ISO game with Gary back in the day. You put your immature corner, your inexperienced corner on him, he's gonna win every time. Why they run that defense and why did Ron Rivera put them in that situation really makes no sense for me, especially when you're trying to win football games, especially late in the year. So that part of the defensive scheme does not make sense in those situations, knowing number one, that those guys are not experienced enough to do that, to play that man coverage, especially on a guy like him, an all-pro. And then number two, we're not getting pass rush. We're getting no rush, and we're not blitzing, and we're bringing nobody. If Jamin Davis is going to be, if you're going to take him off the field, put him on the line, put him on the edge, get something out of him. He has the length, height, speed. Do an X game, exit stunts. You've got to do something to create pressure, or else it does make the back end look really bad. You can only hold that quarterback for so long, and when you got a guy like Tua who can extend plays, these things going to happen. And then you put a guy like a 4-1 guy on a 4-4 guy, it's a wrap. You cannot win like that. I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, what are they doing?
That was giving money away right there. But Big Zodi, you heard what he said in there, and you've been around the game long enough. And one thing he said that the fans know, because we've been saying it on the show the last 3 weeks, they need to do more games. When I say games, that's the defensive lineman changing positions, end going where the tackle going where the end, confusing people, bringing linebackers, bringing defensive back. Did you see any of that on Sunday, Solomon?
None at all. And to do games, you got to be in the game. So my thing is with Allen, he says all that stuff. He's been here 7 years, but have you looked in the mirror for 7 years yourself? I saw no pressure from him on the inside or Payne. To the point, Tyreek Hill ran out of bounds one time and Payne gave him 5. So if that's your aggressiveness and if that's the pressure that you're getting, there's no pressure from the middle. And then I'm like, the great number 53 just said, one of the best linebackers that we've had, start doing schemes, line your linebackers, get your linebackers down, get people involved if you know that you don't have a pass rush. So not only did they disrespect the fastest receiver in the league by putting a rookie on him, you gave him, I think Tua could have paid his taxes, chopped some onions, lifted some weights and did all that and still threw the ball. That's how much time he had. So a combination of that, no, I didn't see too much schemes. I mean, he had all day. I think he even was able to do a couple selfies and then come back and throw the ball for a touchdown. So, no, I didn't see any schemes whatsoever, Pop. But when I do look at the defensive line, I'm not going to keep giving 93 and 94 a pass at all because they don't get a pass from the bank. The bank, last time I checked, the bank gives them every penny and every dime that they've signed on to get.
They own the bank. They own the bank. They don't need a pass. They own the bank. But Alex, let me ask you this. Do you think that maybe they did go one-on-one and not do as much because they're trying to help the linebackers? Because we have said each and every week that the linebackers seem to have a problem covering that middle zone. So they play a lot of zone, try to put the corners on one-on-one. You think schematically that they were really hiding the linebackers then?
Tony, I don't know. I do know. We all know that there were some changes with the coaching staff, and obviously Rivera took on more of the responsibility defensively. I wouldn't know the nuance of that. Here's what I know, and I don't know a ton. I know from watching for many, many years and covering for many, many years. How hard could it be to go into a game and say the other guy on the guy on the other team is the best or one of in the entire league at what he does? And one thing we have to do is slow him down or prevent him from beating us. And if somebody else not named Tyreek Hill beats us, so be it. You know what I mean? We'll live with that. But to sort of, apparently, from what our eyes told us, sort of treat him as if he's just some dude, a third wideout on whatever team, and then be somewhat surprised when he's sprinting by folks and catching 60 and 75-yard touchdowns in about a 10-minute span. I know it was surprising to fans watching that this could happen so easily, perhaps. Should not have been surprising to the team. They know who he is. If we know who he is, they should know who he is. So why on earth they went with this notion of, let's see if we can just cover a man-to-man and take our chances. Well, it didn't work. So, and I mean, I turned on the radio today. They're talking about this on ESPN radio. Man, what were the Commanders doing with that coverage? This was not just about them losing the game. There were folks nationwide sort of questioning, what are the Commanders doing? Not
Correct.
just, oh, they lost again, but this was glaring. This looked like they didn't know or try to put a plan in place to at least slow down probably the best player on the field. I don't get it.
Hey, Tony, I got a question. Tony, I got a question for you. So Ron Rivera went into this game saying that they were going to simplify the defense and basically play faster. What did you see as far as any changes that you saw that was different from what Jack Del Rio was doing versus what Ron Rivera did as far as trying to simplify this? And also, you talked about Tyreek Hill. One play, he was hiding. He was on his knee, hiding behind the lineman. As a defensive player, wouldn't you at all times know where that player was? But how did you see this defense being different than when Jack Del Rio had it versus Ron Rivera supposed to simplify it in that game?
You know, I see that number one, how do you let the best player on your team, on the other team, ghost you? You don't know where he is, and you following him all over the field. You don't know where he is. Right there, that tells me that you haven't been in the game plan. And then when you get out there, and he did some things different, but at the same time, he need to change more, because I kind of agree with Solomon on this. The big guys in the middle ain't getting doubled every time. So that's what schematically you got to change that, where you got 4 or 5 guys coming, so you have more rushers than you do blockers. That's what Ed was saying right there at the time. So when I look at this, I don't know why. And maybe they were trying to show that he needed to go, but at the same time, okay, head coach takes over, but it's no different. So Ed, what do you think about that? Was that the right move? Were they really just trying to see if maybe it wasn't the coach's fault? Or are they really looking to say, we don't have as good of players as we thought?
I really don't believe that. I think that we have some really, really good talent. I mean, we had 4 first-round picks on that defensive line. Now we have 2. I think a few weeks back, those 2 edge rushers were doing pretty good. I think they had a good rotation. But I think when you think about going into a game with a fast-paced, high-powered RPO offense like this, you have to play a 2-shell look behind them, and you have to double down on their best player. And their best player on that field is Tyreek Hill. He can't go single coverage. You have to get a guy in his face, beat him up, because he's an undersized guy. You got to beat him up, take the timing, disrupt the timing of the routes, and then you got to blitz. You got to take a chance with keeping at least one of those backers in there, and you got to rush 5. You can't rush 4 guys. Our guys don't appear to me when they're rushing. I don't see the twitch, the energy, the effort, especially when ball's away. I always look as a coach. I've coached football for many years now. I always look, what are players doing when the ball's away, right? What are they doing when the ball's away? Do we see the effort, the energy? Do we see the pursuit angles? Do we see the fundamentals that you would see on a championship style defense or just a fundamentally sound defense? Do you see that? I really don't see that. I don't see the effort, the energy, the passion, or the execution, regardless of what scheme you put in. I mean, most teams are running. They're either running 2, 3, or they running 1. Or they running a hybrid. They're running a 2-shell on one side. They playing man backside. It ain't that hard. I mean, it ain't but so many things you can do. And you can fire zone blitz off of that depending on who you want to put on the field. And everything's going to come down to matchups. If they got 4 on, we got to get our nickel and our dime on. If they got 3 on, then we can play a sub package. And I don't see them schematically matching up with what other teams are doing, which makes me think, do they really even care?
Well, I think they care, but sometimes things get so much out of hand, and you look at that whole thing. But I tell you what, fans, I'm getting ready to take a break. But you just heard a coach that need to be in their locker room if they're getting to the other coaches. He gave us a whole game plan right there and hit everything on key. That's what you need. So when we come back, we'll talk about who's coming up. But I got to go to G-Man one time because G-Man, that was a team with 4 wide receivers and a running back, and 3 of the wide receivers run 4-2 and the running back run 4-2. And you're going to get out there. You didn't play defense, but that was dangerous what they done. But we'll talk about it when we get back.
What's up?
Yes, we're going to talk about the up-and-coming opponent, which is the luck of the draw. Mess around and get the Rams now when they starting to know what football is about again. But I got to go back to that Miami team. Once again, I reiterate, Donna she does not right. That defense is not that great. They got 4 receivers. Gee, man, talk to me. You guys were the standard. You guys were the standard of our time. How do you defense 4 receivers and all of them running 4-2?
It's extremely hard to do that. You pretty much have to listen to what Coach said. You kind of like you gotta zone that out. Quite honestly, I would have played the 2 deep, bring pressure to the quarterback. But they got 4 quality wide receivers, and Tariq's he's just a whole nother thing. I mean, he's like the Jerry Rice of this generation, so to speak. So he's fast as all get out, a lot faster than Jerry. Hell, he's faster than I was. I was a 4.32 guy. He's even faster than I was. So, I mean, he's a quality receiver. He knows how to get open. He knows how to run routes. But most importantly, also, too, is the quarterback threw him the ball. Yeah. I mean, that's just what it is. And as a defensive back, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I'm a hold you.
There you go.
And I'm going to get away with it. If somebody's, just like if I got a really good defensive back, I'm going to push off a Dion. I'm going to push off a Daryl. Yep. I'm going to push off him. I'm not going to get caught for pushing off, and I'm going to create separation some type of way because they are going to be right there on me. That's right. I mean, there's always a reason that you're able to get your job done. It's just a matter of getting your job done. How much research did you do to make sure you go get your job done? That's the important part.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I look at the coaches as well, but I also look at the players.
I remember when I had a good dude, and I would go up there, and once he hit me hard enough, the next play I'd be asking him, how's his family?
Yeah.
Anything I could to get his mind off of. But let's talk about this next opponent. Up until now, the Rams haven't played well, Donna. They're starting to play well now, and this may be the only game of the last ones that they have a possibility of winning. I shouldn't say that, but I'm just calling it like I see it. What do you think?
Yeah, Tony, it's going to be hard the rest of the way for this team to get wins if they play like they did against the Dolphins and even before the Dolphins. But they've got a bye week before they face the Rams. And in this bye week, they've got to go and think about how they can finish these 4 games out. And as Coach Rivera said, is that, he hopes everybody shows up. Well, we already seen that some players look like they're not showing up from week to week, and their jobs is on the line, and they're playing for all these things, all those good things that people say about the job security and all that. But right now, to get over losing, you're talking about losing 6 straight games or so, and your mind, nobody likes to lose, Tony. And like you said, you've got the Rams coming up, who's starting to put the pieces together because they're in a playoff chase right now. So every game is important for them. So being on this bye week that the Commanders are getting ready to have going into before they play the Rams, what do they need to do, Tony, right now? As far as, they've got some days off to think about, this bad taste in their mouth that's been in their mouth for weeks now. But how do you change the atmosphere? Because we've been asked the same thing over and over. We've been talking about the same thing for the last 6 or 7 games about how this team can play better when they're not playing better. How do they turn the tables in these last 4 games to do what we're talking about in finishing strong? Because I don't see them really, literally, the way they're playing, winning another game. And they've got the Jets coming up, which is probably a terrible team too. But the way this Commanders team is playing, they'll have to play much better to even win a game to finish out the season. Because they got the 49ers and they got Dallas, and like you said, the Rams.
And you know what the thing about it is, some of them got their cars backed up to the stadium getting ready to go home for the Christmas vacation anyway. We used to sing that song, "We'll be home for Christmas." Well, they'll be home for the playoffs. What they have to do is they have to do something different. You got these 4 games, no matter if you're going to be there or not. Let your team feel like you're still trying. You're doing something different. Do something that's outrageous, whatever you can do to fire your team up. But you have to keep them, they have to know that they're not playing, they're playing for a cause. They're not playing for applause. They need to get out there and play the best they can. And always remember that guy in the locker room that's named Bob that you don't know, he's after your job. That's what they need to do with these players. Let them know these next 4 games, deciding if you're going to be working at Kellogg's or you're going to be playing football. Okay, that's what they need to do. And it's time now to quit just acting like, they got a chance. I think one thing that was said in the interviews as well as Coach said it, you have a certain amount of years, and it's time for you to start performing. You've been getting checks for this amount of time, and that's if it's 1 year, 10 years. It's time for you to make that money, not just earn it, make it. And that's the way I feel about it. But, I'm trying to still be neutral here. So we look at the Rams, and I didn't look at – I'm just afraid that offensive line could be crushed. And with that happening, then you're going to have your quarterback throwing fast. They're starting to pull their games to play. Alex, you tell me, what do you see that where can they beat this Rams team?
Tony, the way they've played the last few weeks, they can't beat any team. They couldn't beat the Giants and the quarterback's the young fellow that's nothing against still living in his mom's basement. So, I mean, listen, if the Commanders don't play better, doesn't matter who was on the other side, save for perhaps the Jets, who offensively are even much worse than the Commanders. They've got 2 weeks to figure this out, Tony, to try to beat the Rams. The Rams, as Donna mentioned, are starting to put it together. It's only 2 years ago they won the whole thing. It's easy to kind of forget that we talk about the Eagles so much and the Niners and the Chiefs. 2 years ago, Rams were the best team in the whole deal. So, I mean, the Commanders can start by trying to run the football. Ironically, they ran it pretty well Sunday, but you wouldn't have known it by watching what the final score said. So they got 2 weeks to think about the Rams. And frankly, to think about the Rams and then beyond. I think for a lot of fans watching, I think there's a bunch of fans that don't want to win these games because they want draft position. The players would never think that. This is their job, their livelihood, their pride. For fans, I don't think a lot of fans wouldn't mind if they don't win another game because they want the highest draft pick they can get. So much of this season was about a new owner and this feeling that era was about to be behind us. The other part of this season is the quarterback legit. Do they finally find their guy? I think jury's still out. I think most folks think he has proven that he can be that guy. I don't think he's played himself out of it. I don't think anybody would say, well, they don't have a quarterback in Hal. They may have one. They probably do. What these last 4 games mean, big picture, we'll see. We'll see which guys really want to play. I can't imagine any of us think that this coaching staff is going to be back for week 1 next year. So this feels odd. They've really got nothing to play for, save for pride, save for jobs. But it'll be interesting. And I don't know that the result against the Rams, from a fan standpoint, is frankly that important.
Well, you know what? Let's look around the NFC East. They're not the only ones stumbling right now. I think last week it was only one person felt like Philadelphia was going to get beat. And you see that around. And that's what bothers me about this whole thing. Here you got an Atlanta team down here that's just 500, and they lead their division. You look at this team right here. Hey, they won a couple of the games they should have, like the Giants game and a couple other games. They would be right in the thick of stuff right now. And that's what bothers me, because you look at the NFC East, right now it seems like those teams are starting to slip. G, tell me what you look at. That Philadelphia team went out there with supposedly the best wide receiver in the game. And I mean, the 49ers just told him a new one.
Yeah, I kind of expected that to happen, but I mean the Eagles. But it's kind of like when we were playing and we were like 10-0 or something like that, and Dallas came in. You start to feel yourself when you're winning all the time, and sometimes you forget that the other team, any given Sunday, you can get your butt kicked because if you're not on point, you're not on point. Because even when a team gets beat about as bad as we got beat yesterday, right? It's unbelievable how still we could have won that football game. We're still close to winning that football game if you think about it. Even though we got blown out, a few plays here and there, things changes, we win that football game. That's what happens when you get really full of yourself a little bit. And it happened to us. We got full of ourselves. We thought we was going to go undefeated. We was looking at Miami's perfect record, and we forgot to play the game. When you forget to play the game, the other team can hand it to you, especially when it's a good football team. The 49ers is probably as good, if not the best team in the league. I mean,
as long as they stay well, that's all they need to do. But I got to ask the other coach something.
But Philadelphia feels that way too, though.
Yeah,
Coach, do you feel like
if I'm Dallas, I feel that way as well. So I mean,
right? See, G is getting right where I want to go. You're right. And I'm gonna ask, and I'm gonna ask the coach. It seems as though the NFC is starting to weaken a little bit right now, where the AFC seems to be getting stronger.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that. When you look at the top teams in the NFC, San Fran is definitely by far. They sent a message to the league, but I have to agree with Gary on this one because, when you think about the fact that the Eagles, I think they had played 3 games in 15 days or 13 days or something like that. They were set up. I mean, playing this game, Tony, this. You play that many games in that short time span. It's a lot. It's a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of commitment to come back and bounce back each week and stay on that winning project. I kind of knew that was going to be a tough game for them. However, I still got the Eagles because of Jalen. What Jalen has done this year, especially in the last game previously before the 49ers, that I still remember him on that one scramble play, making that big play. And it's kind of like, it was like his moment of like, yeah, I'm putting this city on my back. I'm putting this team on my back. So you have those type of teams that I think are going to be very tough down the stretch when we look at the playoff run. Then when you look at the AFC, I mean, Miami obviously shown what they can do with their misdirection offense, using their speed, their intangibles. Baltimore Ravens.
There you go.
The Baltimore Ravens. One of the things I always think about is we go back to fundamentals and identity. What is the team's identity? And when you think about the Ravens, we know exactly who they are.
Hello.
They are blue collar, old school, punch you in the mouth like AFC football. That's who they are. They play great defense. They play great special teams, and they have a dynamic. They have the dynamic duo, right? In Lamar, they have him back there at center. So he's throwing the ball well. He can run the ball. They have multiple weapons. The kid, what's the rookie? What's his name again?
Flowers.
Yeah, Flowers. You got him. That kid is dynamic. That kid is absolutely dynamic, especially in his first year. But I just like the way the Ravens are shaking out. I would not want to play the Ravens in the AFC in no level. I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs because they're such a dark horse in the race. And the type of identity and style of football that they play, they beat you up. And their pass rush is impeccable. You know what I mean? When you think about coverage, pass rush, they can ball control offense. They can, limit your possessions. They play good special teams. That's championship football. That's the identity of a championship football team. That's what you want to see down the stretch. And that's how I really assess when I look at like the teams as they kind of develop and this thing kind of unfolds. as we look at it. But that's kind of why I see it.
There you
But
go. And
Tony,
we're going
I
to
don't think
continue.
so.
We're going to continue with the AFC when I take this break down. Donna, you know I got to take a break now because I got to pay Gary. And we can't miss no breaks. So when we come back, we're going to hit that AFC because right now it's a couple of statements y'all don't like. Y'all act like the AFC is all that. They're not all that now. They can't mess with the AFC when we right. But I'm not saying we right now, but we will be wrong if we say it right when we come back. Catch on to that, but we'll be back for more.
Hey guys, I'm back again. Pro Fitness for Everyone.
No, I started with this one. I did.
Yeah. And she said that she was going to do all three with this dice. And I said, that's great. I said, it's okay if you punk out and go with this route. She said, I ain't going to do that. I kind of expected maybe on the second round. After the second round, you'll do that. Maybe. But not in this round right here.
But guess what? I was just joking with joking with Ricky.
No,
because
she knew I was gonna talk smack.
I ain't like that. So here we go.
Go back down to 10. Okay, that's okay. Give me that butt down. Keep those hips forward. Hips forward. I know you're tired of here, but I need them forward. See how we got good movement right here?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I don't want that. Stay right there. Now go. Yeah. That's good though. Come on. There you go. It seems like this is the one that really takes a lot out of you. $13 minutes the first time, 15 minutes this time. So she was able to get 2 rounds. Again, when we do this drill, again, you can make up whatever you want to do. But with my clients, I always do 3 rounds. And that's it.
I burned probably like 2,000 calories.
That was awesome. You over here with this preacher curl girl, man, wow. I'm going to tell all my clients from that point, listen, I had a young lady come in here and did 50 straight.
And as Ricky say, this is another pro fitness tip.
That's right.
Of the week.
Well, another fitness tip from Ricky Irvins as he's whipping me into shape before the holidays. But let's just get right to this football, NFL. Tony talked about that the NFL has, the NFC has slipped some, but the Philadelphia Eagles right now, Jalen Hurts is nursing injuries for the last 3 or 4 games, and their defense is not the defense that we thought they were going to be. But the NFC East, Tony, is pretty tough with Dallas and also the Eagles. And the Eagles haven't even kicked into gear yet. But talking about that, Solomon, I'm coming right to you. The Eagles and the Cowboys play each other this week in Dallas. How do you see that game playing out? Because both teams' defense is their weak link, but Dak is playing pretty good right now.
Especially at home. I think they're playing Dallas. Are they playing at Dallas or are they playing at Philly?
At Dallas.
Oh, yeah, he's been playing phenomenal at home. And one thing, with these players on the screen as we speak, I do feel like the Cowboys love playing on turf. One thing is when you do play in Philly, you have to play on grass, where for some reason they practice well on turf and they play well on turf. Their receivers are on point on turf. Their running backs. I don't see too many injuries on the turf where we know what the turf legends were. The turf legends know that that's a possible injuries all the time. But I really feel like if Jalen Hurts is not well, as much as it hurts me to say right now as a Burgundy Gold person since 82 to now, I see the Cowboys winning that game because without a healthy Jalen Hurts, I don't see Marcus Mariota being the answer. So my thing is really going to be dependent on his health.
All right.
Hey, Tony, let's go right to the Colts and the Bengals. The Colts squares one out against the Titans, and that AFC South is tight as can be. Jaguars at 8-3, the Colts and the Texans both at 7-5. How do you see that game playing out this week? The Colts are at the Bengals, and we know the Bengals are struggling right now, but they're still in the conversation.
I'm gonna say this very quick. They're in the conversation. The Colts will be the better team. They do not have. I don't know if their quarterback is back to if he's coming back or if he's 100%. The Bengals need everybody to be well to be good. So I look at the Colts winning that.
Okay, Eddie, the Buffalo Bills, they fired their offensive coordinators a few weeks ago, and they've got the Chiefs coming up. The Chiefs took one on the nose against the Green Bay Packers up there at Lombardi. How do you see this playing out with the Buffalo Bills right now? And seems like the Chiefs are not the Chiefs of old. They're struggling right now. Who pulls out that game? And they're playing in Kansas City. Both teams need this win.
I have to go with Patrick Mahomes on this one. That young man does in the big moments he figures out a way to shine, and I think that quarterback for the Bills, he has struggled in the big moments, and I think Kansas City's probably going to pull that one out just simply because number one, they're at home. Number two, now I will say this: they did get some guys injured on defense, so. The only caveat that I would say, if they don't play good special teams and the offense can't score points, Bills win. But if they can go out and put up and strike the iron like they do on offense, like they normally do, I pick the Chiefs on this one to win.
I don't know if Chelsea's girlfriend is not there. I don't know if that's going to happen. Okay.
Hey, she'll be there, Tony.
You only got a minute to go left, Donna. Hit your question. But
hey, Garrett, the Vikings at the Raiders. Can both teams are still jarring for the playoffs. Do you see the Raiders beating the Vikings? How do you see that playing out?
That's a long trip to go out there to the Raiders. So I see the Raiders winning that football game.
And Alex, you got the last one, the Bucks at the Falcons. And as Tony said, Falcons got losing record, but they're at the top of their division. The Bucks need this win too because both of them are neck and neck. How do you see that game playing out?
I'll take the Falcons. I think that Desmond Ritter guy, he was benched. He's come back, played a little better since he's been back. I'll go Atlanta in that one.
Todd Bowles said no way.
All right, well, that's all right. When we come back, we'll see how the picks went this week and see if everything you were saying, Donna, was correct. It should be some movement.
Always is.
In the Minute with Tony and Donna. You can catch them weekly on their podcast, and you can also subscribe to their YouTube channel, In the Minute. Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus Speakers Bureau offers you various opportunities to connect with former and current players along with Tony and the crew. For more information, go to redmagplus.com Speakers Bureau.
One more thing.
39 years. Not many shows can claim a streak like that, but Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus sure can. Tony McGee, a burgundy and gold legend on the field and for decades now on the air, is once again excited to bring his one-of-a-kind program to his legion of fans across the Mid-Atlantic. How to last so long? By always delivering unique, insightful, entertaining, and oh yeah, fun, lots of fun, week in and week out. Tony's cast includes the legendary Gary Clark, the impeccable Donna Hopkins on the Burgundy and Gold beat for decades now, as well as icons from Washington football, past and present, not to mention the Pro Football Hall of Famers who flock to Tony's show year in and year out. There is not a show dedicated to football fans like this one, and the proof is in the almost 4 decades that Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus has been the go-to stop for fans who want content that only Tony and crew can deliver. This season promises to be yet another exciting one for the team, the league, the show, and its fans, and we want you to be a part of it. There are sponsorship opportunities to fit your business's goals, 30 and 60-second targeted commercial spots, weekly segments dedicated to promoting your brand, on-air guest opportunities for you to share your company's mission, and so on. We'd love to discuss tailoring a sponsorship program that is just right for you, both in scope and in cost. For sponsorship opportunities, call 703-282-0792 or email info@redmadplus.com. Be a part of this historic season on this historic show, Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. 39 years and the millions of viewers over those years can't be wrong.
Eddie, thanks for being here. About a lot of knowledge, guys. This has been a good show. We got a bye week. We'll still be doing our job in a couple of weeks. Maybe we can come back and say they better, and I'll be lying then. But one thing we don't lie about, we never say goodbye. We say in the minute.
Well, great show today. And we're going to let John Butler, friend of the Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus TV show, take us out with some of his great hits.
The rest of it, take care of it. The best that I can. Oh, the rest of it, take care of itself.